Hello everyone, welcome back. In the previous video, we had completed the tab bar controller for our application. For now, all of the three tabs show the same profile page. In this video, what we're going to do is that we're going to create the UI for our profile page. So if I open up our design files and bring them over to the screen, you're going to see that this is the UI that we are going to be creating in this lecture. So without anything further to do, let's get into it. So the way we're going to start off is that we are going to go to our profile page dot, and inside of there, as of now, we just have a container with a child, and that child is a text widget. Now what we're going to do is that we are going to update all of this and actually create all of the UI elements inside of here. So the way we're going to do this is that we are going to update our child to a function, and I'll call this function our profile, and then page, and then UI. And then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create a new widget, and I'm going to call this widget our profile page UI. So this function is going to return a widget, and once we have that, the next thing we're going to do that inside of this function we are going to return. And what are we going to return? Well, first of all, we are going to return an align widget, and the reason we need an align widget is because we want all of the widgets that we're going to put inside of our column to be in the middle of the screen. And since we want our column to be in the middle of the screen, we're going to put a align widget. So with that, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to define the child for our align widget, and the child for our align widget is going to be a sized box. The reason we need a sized box is because we want to limit the size of our column, and since if we do not do that, then the column is going to take up the size of its parent and it's going to just extend throughout the screen. The next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to set the height of our site height. But what is the height going to be? Well, what I'm going to do is that for our profile page, I'm going to define two new variables at the top. The first is going to be a final. Final just means that once this variable has been initialized, the value of it cannot be changed. And then I'll also have a final double, and this final would be a width variable. Then every time our profile page is created, we pass in the height and we pass in the width to it. So this dot underscore width. Then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go back to our sized box, and to the height attribute, I'm going to set the height, and the height is going to be 50% of our screen of our device's height. Once we have that, I'm just going to add this ending semicolon to command save. Then I'm going to go to our homepage.dart file. Then for our profile page, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to give it the height and the width that we were saving inside of our home page. But for now we are not. So what we're going to do though is that inside of our home page state, we are going to create two new variables, and both of them, one of them is going to be a double that is going to store the device's height. The other is going to be a double that is going to store the device's width. Then inside of our build function, we'll set our height to our media query dot off the context dot size dot height, and then we'll just copy this line of code. I'm going to paste it, and we'll set the width now. So width is size dot width. Once we have access to these, we can do command save, go down to our profile page, and then do this, and then just give it the height and the width same, and then I can just copy these over to here and here. Once we have that, I'm just going to do Alt-Shift-F command save. Once we have that, we're going to go back to our profile page and continue making our UI. So now that we have our size box, the next thing I'm going to do that I'm going to define the children inside, or the child inside of our size box. The child is going to be a column. Then we are going to define some attributes for our column. So firstly, we'll define the main axis alignment. So, and that is going to be main axis alignment dot space evenly. Then I'm going to add a comma and Alt-Shift-F command save to just reformat the code. Next, we'll add the main axis size, and that is going to be main axis size dot max. And then finally, the last thing is going to be our cross-axis alignment. And our cross-axis alignment is going to be cross-axis alignment dot center. Once we have this, the next thing we are going to do is define the children for our actual column, and the children is going to be a list of widgets. So widgets, and we are now going to actually define the widgets. So there are 4 widgets that we need if I open our design files, and those 4 widgets are the image widget, the name widget, the email widget, and then the logout widget. So let's get working on them. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy over a function, and this function is really simple. All we're doing is that we're defining a function that returns us a container with the decoration image, and then I'm going to put that as our first function inside of our children's list. Then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy over another function, and this is also a really simple function, and all it does is that it creates a username widget, or it returns us a container which has a text widget inside of it, and it just puts whatever text we pass into it into that container. And then I'll add this function after our username widget, or our user image widget. Then I'm going to copy in another function which is exactly the same, except for it has different styling for the text as our actual username widget, which is our user email widget, and it serves the same purpose as our username widget. So I'll just copy and paste image. And then finally what I'm going to do is that I'm going to create the function that is going to be for our logout button. So for that, what we're going to do, we're going to create a function that is going to return us a widget, and then the function is going to be called logout button. We're going to return a container. This container is going to have a height, and the height is going to be underscore height times and then 0.06, so 6% of the height of the device, and then the width, and then the width is going to be the width of our device times is 0.80, so 80% of the width of our device. Then what we're going to do is that we're going to define the child for our container, and the child is going to be a material button. And then for the on pressed, we'll just leave this function as an empty function for now. I'll add the trailing commas for formatting of the code. And then once we have this, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to define the color for our button, not the child, sorry, the color for our button. And the color is going to be colors.red. Once we have the color defined, next we're going to define the child. The child is going to be a text widget, and the text is going to be logout. And the text is going to be logout, and then the text is going to have a style. So style, S-T-Y-L-E, style. And then the style is going to be text style, and then the text style, and then we'll have a font size, and the font size would be 18, and the font weight. And the font weight is going to be font weight .w700. Once we have this, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add a comma here, do Alt-Shift-F, add a trailing comma here, do Command save, and then what we can do is that we can go to the top, and after our user email widget we can add our logout button. Now what we have to do is that we have to pass in an image to our user image widget. We have to pass in a name to our username widget and an email to our user email widget. So for now, the name I'll just say Hussein Mustafa, or the email I'll do hussein.mustafa@gmail.com. And then finally for the image, what we can do is that we can copy an image over from Pravatar, and that way in the next video we'll actually copy over the user's Firebase profile and then show that actual information here. But for now, what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to copy an example image from Pravatar, and I'm going to paste that here to just test our code. With that, I'm just going to do Alt-Shift-F, Command save, and hopefully our image should load up. Okay, so with that, we have successfully created the UI for our profile page, and now in the next video we are actually going to go to Firebase, fetch the actual logged in user's data, and then display it here on our profile page screen. And we'll also add the functionality for actually logging out of our application. So with that, I'm going to end this video here. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace.